Our main issue is that my wife does not respect me fully as a man. Her words are that she respects me fully as a person, especially for my character, but only respects me partially as her man, because she needs certain things such as more complete emotional support, someone who'll be more adventurous with her, she loves hiking, long road trips, etc. And she picks on my driving as something that makes her lose respect for me. I've stated to her and to our marriage counselor that I believe that she doesn't value the traits that I bring to the table, being patient, respectful, providing for her, helping her improve in the religion, as respectable traits in a man, even though she does see the virtues in them. They're not as high value for her as they might be for other sisters, although I wouldn't know, because unlike her, I haven't had intake conversations with anyone else outside my marriage. I personally think that she is being unreasonable because I have tried really hard to be a good husband. We did our marriage when I was 21 and moved in together when I was 22, and from when I was 19 and knew we were going to get married, I started a business to make more money to pay for the wedding and start a life together. This was on top of my full-time university degree and a part-time job, on top of finding time to spend time with her and do the things she liked doing such as hiking, going on road trips, etc. We did the whole going to places together but not touching thing, which I now realize was still really not permissible, and I feel like that might have cursed our marriage. Anyway, I worked so hard that I hardly slept, and I ultimately fell asleep behind the wheel and crashed my car. Praise be to God, I somehow didn't hit any cars and only swerved into some grass. I brought this work I've done for us up to her, and she said that's my duty, and then asked why I hadn't highlighted it before. As if she would have respected it more if I had made it clear. It's not healthy that we've developed this silly point scoring exercise because that's not what marriage is about. Despite all of this, she still holds resentment towards me and says it openly. Part of that resentment is because I wasn't aware and possibly emotionally mature enough to sacrifice more things during our marriage, mainly the fact that I played football 3 to 4 days a week for a few hours, and she claims this abandonment was a contributing factor that led to her abandonment and subsequently led to her affair. She claims full responsibility for the affair, with the affair partner, but says that it's important to understand the reasons for what drove her to that point because she doesn't have a long history with men or anything like that. The marriage counselor agreed that it's important to understand how we got to that point as well. To be honest, I'm baffled as to how someone who's had an affair and their spouse reacts in a composed way and still doesn't disrespect her, can still turn around and say that she lacks any kind of respect for her husband. She says she really respects me for how I dealt with it, and again, fully respects me as a person, but not as her man, which is a different category for her apparently. The things I see as manly and what she sees as manly are clearly two different things. Finally, I had obviously cut off regular contact with my cousin, the affair partner, but in the last 10 days or so, I've had to talk to him because the family has been hit with a major issue. One of our cousins went missing and was found to be using medications and was stuck in a medication house, and our family looked to us to lead the investigation and help find a solution, because we're all 40 days apart in age, myself, the affair partner, and the medication user. Praise be to God she is now safe and back with the family, so we can cut off contact again, but this incident has reminded me that it will be impossible to keep my cousin out of my life, and the thought of him and my wife even being in the same room makes me want to die inside. One of them has avoided each family gathering so far. So here we are, I'm still extremely confused. To be perfectly honest, in the first 6 weeks I was leaning heavily towards walking away, but in the last couple of weeks I have started to feel responsible for not being the perfect husband, even though I spent a lot of time being her shoulder to cry on, spent many nights reaching out to her friends asking them to reach out to her because she needs their support, and even trying to cheer her up after she's verbally abused me. She says this is because of her anger and mental health issues that she's working through, but she still gets really angry. By the way, I've asked my wife if she expects me to be the complete husband, and she said no, but something close to it. She feels that that's what she needs. This obviously still consumes my mind. I've struggled to be efficient with my work. For example, it's around midday where I am and I've basically gotten nothing done in the office so far today. I spend a lot of time reading forums about marriage/affairs, watching lectures about the issue. I think I've watched all of them, so I'm back to Reddit, and messaging my wife with more issues. This isn't healthy for either of us. The marriage counselor says I need to decide sooner rather than later, whether I'm looking to commit or go our separate ways, and if I was to commit, that our marriage needs a lot of work. Sorry for ranting on, and I'd be surprised if anyone read all of that. Regardless, any advice is welcome, especially if you've been in a similar situation. Update 2. This week my wife and I divorced after being married for 3.5 years. It was very sad. She got extremely emotional and I also shed some tears, but I believe it had to be done as I couldn't look past the affair. At the moment, my wife is in the process of moving back into the home we shared, and I'm going to live with my parents for the remainder of her waiting period. She came to the house today and in the evening, she asked me if we can talk about some things because she was not happy that I was in a bad mood towards her today, and had mentioned the issue a few times. She knows the reason why the issue came up today was because I'm having aunties calling me, and even coming over to try to get me to give my wife a second chance, and I find this very triggering because they don't know what I've gone through, plus all the things I've hidden from them, such as the fact that she had an affair, to protect her dignity and reputation, which is the right thing to do, and to not reveal that the affair partner is their nephew and my cousin. It's extremely infuriating because they all see her as a kind girl that's very sweet, which she is at times. But they don't know what I've gone through, with the affair and with all the verbal abuse and temper issues throughout the marriage. I always shielded my family from seeing this side of her because I was always able to keep my cool, so there were never any major incidents they would hear about if I'd also lost my cool. She's also really good at being the best version of herself around others, particularly family. It goes down to her cultural roots and how she was raised. There are a lot of good things about her personality and character that I would look for in another wife, so that should be made clear. Anyway, back to the issue that she wanted to talk about. I told her that I didn't want to talk about things right now, but she insisted and kept talking about it anyway, saying that we won't have any other time to talk, because I'm going to my parents tomorrow. So she began asking why I've forgotten all the good she did and the sacrifices she made in our marriage, and that I'm just labeling her for one thing she did. I insisted it wasn't just one thing, and I said that I haven't forgotten about all the good, because if I had, I wouldn't be treating her with kindness, I would be cold to her like I am to her affair partner / my cousin. I was then alerted to news that one of my ex-colleagues and a friend was being rushed to hospital after a serious car accident, and she became even more upset that I was diverting my focus from our conversation, which I said I wasn't ready to have anyway, and said that this is symptomatic of our problems in the marriage, where she always had to fight for my attention, and that's what caused this problem between us. I'm so flabbergasted by her lack of empathy when she's in that kind of mood. It's just so bizarre, because she's not an inconsiderate person when she's in a stable mood. She also said that for the record, after some time she would have forgiven me for cheating if I had done what she had. I think that's a load of horse crap if I'm honest. She's a very sensitive person and can't even handle the perceived threat of being abandoned, so if she found out that I had an emotional relationship with another woman, let alone a relative of hers, she would lose her mind. If her family found out, her brothers would probably have broken my legs. I swear tonight she made me feel like I was the one that had the affair. She even fell down to her knees crying. Why? I thought in my head, I'm pretty sure that's my line.